Do I know the lady's name?
Yes, the class is לרפואה שלמה.
Yael Hana
יעל חנה
Bat Amar.
בת תמר, complete רפואה שלמה בעזרת השם.
Amen.
Tonight, we're going to be starting a series. I was asked by Michael and Karen to prepare ourselves to the holiday. Our sages taught us that we have to be prepared to the holiday 30 days before the holiday. We actually say in the Haggadah, "Ilu keravanu lifnei har Sinai, velo natan lanu et haTorah dayenu." If God would have brought us to Mount Sinai and not given us the Torah, it would have been enough. Now that logically makes absolutely no sense, since the whole purpose of the world was that the Jewish nation should actually not only receive the Torah, but be the vehicles of the Torah. So how could we say you would have brought us to Mount Sinai, not given us the Torah, it would have been enough? Because practically speaking, there are two steps. There is the giver, giving, or there is the receiver, receiving. And in order for the giver to do justice to the giver, you have to become yourself a complete receiver. You have to be able to erase yourself, erase your ego, erase any type of preconceptions you have, misconceptions you have of the subject matter, and say, I'm going to jump into this and completely become a receptacle, a recipient, in order to receive the maximum that I need to receive. That process happens in two steps. One, which is called chokhmah, wisdom. The other one, which is called bina, which is understanding. Chokhmah, by definition, is called koach ma, the power of what is. What does that mean, the power of what is? The power of what is, the koach ma, is the power of being able to surrender yourself to such a degree that what is knowledge, what is the revelation of God, is something which completely takes you over and you are just dumbfounded. You lose your sense of self, of understanding, of seeing, of grasping. It's just above you. It's not by accident that the word used here in the word chokhmah to talk about the supernal wisdom is the power of ma. Ma in Hebrew is what? Interesting. Water represents chokhmah, represents wisdom. Water is colorless, tasteless, shapeless, and water is the purest possible element. No color, no taste, no shape, and what else? No odor. It's basically the most natural thing there is, and that's why water is able to purify. Just like wisdom is able, conscious wisdom is able at its purest level to completely transform a person from being one state to another state, to literally bring the person to life. As it says, HaChokhmah tehayed ba'aleha. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon says, wisdom has the power to bring to life the person who owns his wisdom. Yamutu velo bechokhmah. They will die, but not in an instance where they have wisdom. This creative wisdom which one surrenders to is actually what brings a person to life, literally speaking. So tonight we're going to be explaining, according to Hasidut, Torah Or, the difference that exists between Shabbat and Yom Tov. The first of all festivals, of all Yamim Tovim, is the holiday of Pesach. Pesach, the month of Nisan, HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem, Rosh Chodashim, this month is the head of all months. Rishon Hu LeChodshei HaShana, it is the beginning of all the months of the year, the head of all the months of the year, literally speaking. As if every day in the month of Nisan is just like Rosh Chodesh. This is the month that really at the beginning of the creation, the month of Tishrei was the first of all months, this month where we celebrate Rosh Hashanah. But from the moment the Jewish people came out of Egypt, the month has been changed. The reality of the world, the reality of the identity of the world changes as the identity of the Jew has been created. We became a nation during the month of Nisan. Now this month is going to be in the Torah the first of all months. From the year 2448 since creation. Lehavin ma shekatuv be'Haggadah. We have to understand what it says in the Haggadah. We say in the Haggadah, Matzah zu she'anu ochlim al shum ma, al shum shelo yispik chulu ki gorshu mimitzrayim. Why do we eat the matzah? On the night of Pesach, we say in the Haggadah, this matzah that we eat, why do we eat it? Because the bread didn't have time to rise. And therefore, we eat matzah, because we had to run out. The mashma, halo elu lo garshu, veispik lachmitz, ayochlim chametz. If so, if this is the reasoning why we eat matzah, it means that if we would have had time, what would we have eaten? We would have eaten bread. And that doesn't make any sense. We were already commanded on the beginning of the month, before we went out of Egypt, and we didn't have time for our bread to rise. When you will go out, you will offer the Paschal offering, the Passover offering, and you will eat it with bitter herbs and with matzot. So how could we say in the Haggadah that the reason why we eat matzah is because the bread didn't have time to rise? As if this was the reason. וגם לדורות נצטוו 7 ימים שאור לא יימצא בכל מושבותיכם תאכלו מצות ובפסוק עצמו יש להבין שהציווי של הדורות היה זכר ליציאת מצרים. Besides that, for generations we were commanded that for 7 days you will eat matzot. You should not find any type of leaven in your house for 7 days. From your place you will eat matzot. And this was to remind ourselves of how we came out of Egypt. So really, as this is the holiday of matzot, Hag HaMatzot, we have to understand what is the essence of this matzah, which is the center of our holiday. And to understand that, we need to understand why we're eating matzah. Are we eating because we have been commanded? Were we obligated only for one day, and afterwards God said for 7 days? Are we eating because we didn't have time, he didn't have time to rise? What exactly is the essence of this matzah? I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that tonight you will get the full answer. But we will have a little taste of the matzah, the spiritual message of the matzah. והלא פסח מצרים אינו נוהג איסור חמץ אלא יום אחד כדאיתה בגמרא והעניין דפסח מצרים אינו נוהג אלא יום אחד ולכן דווקא כי יורשו מחמת זהו שאכלו מצה גם בשאר ימות הפסח וכך כתב המזרחי בפרשת ראה על פסוק כי בחפזון יצאת ואף על פי כן הציווי של הדורות 7 ימים והם זכר ליציאת מצרים. Really, according to the Torah, the commandment is that day. The remembrance is the 7 days that follow. Because it didn't have time to rise. It seems a little maybe above our head, but we will get there בעזרת השם. ולהבין קצת עניין אכילת מצה יש להקדים עניין מועדים לשמחה. שעיקר המועדים הוא בחינת השמחה. Now we're going to go into a new step. To understand this, we're going to go to a completely, at first glance, completely separate discussion. What are the holidays? The holidays are called Mo'adim, holidays lesimcha, of joy, for joy. Joy is connected to the holidays. שעיקר המועדים הוא בחינת השמחה. The essence of the festival is to be festive and to rejoice. And כדכתיב, as it says in the verse, ושמחת בחגיך, you will rejoice in your holiday. שאז הוא זמן גילוי מוחין דאמה. This is the moment that the female intellect called Ema, just like Ima, is revealed. And therefore we can experience joy. What is that connected? דהיינו מה שכתוב בהלל. This is what it says in the Hallel, what we say in the Hallel, and we know that the only holiday in which we recite the Hallel at night is the holiday of Pesach. Moshiv yakeret habayit. He brings back the akeret habayit, the essence of the house, the pillar of the house, the root of the house. Ema banim semecha, and the mother rejoices with its children. I'm going to stop here for a minute. The word akeret habayit. So what happens is, we just explained before the level of chokhmah, wisdom, a supernal revelation at the purest possible state, which is so great that we cannot grasp it. This is the masculine, godly intellect. There is the feminine, godly intellect, and that feminine, godly intellect in Kabbalah and Chassidut is called Ema. Ima. Just like the word Ima in Hebrew. So there's a verse in the Hallel. Moshiv yakeret habayit. I'm going to take the mother which is caught up in the house and in the corners, the cracks of the house. I'm going to take the barren woman. Em habanim semecha, and I will bring that she should rejoice with the children. Let's explain this. This is the level of simcha, of full joy. This is the level of Yom Tov. During Yom Tov, the feminine aspect comes to fruition and it finds its settlement, and therefore it's a time of joy. Let's continue, and after we'll go to deeper explanations. Ve'ine b'Shabbat, on Shabbat it's different. Hu gilui mohin de'aba. This is the moment that the manly, masculine intellect, godly intellect, is revealed. Ve'em yoter elyonim, this level of intellect is a higher level. Ve'en sham prinat gilui simcha kebeyom tov, and at that level there is no revealed joy. So you have basically the masculine intellect, which is supernal, called Chokhmah or Abba, the father. It's supernal, but you cannot, it's much higher, it's not tangible, and you cannot therefore experience joy. That's what shines on Shabbat, spiritually speaking. On Yom Tov, it's the feminine type of intellect, which is shining, spiritual power which is shining, and therefore, even though it's of a lower nature, it's graspable, you can grasp it, but you will experience joy. Why? Let's explain. אך העניין, כי הנה ביאור מהות מוחין דאמה, יובן במה שנודע שיש בית בחינת גילוי אור אין סוף. We know, to be able to understand this, we have to know that the godly light of God, obviously the godly light of God is pretty redundant, the godly light comes in two ways. In its way, the way it's going to be revealed in the world. האחד, בחינת השתלשלות. וסדר המדרגות שהן בחינת המשכות מעילה לעילה, הערה דהערה דהערה. The first one is like a chain reaction, where you go from one level of revelation, which reveals itself to a lower, just like the chain. The bottom of one chain attaches itself to the top of the other one, and the bottom of that one attaches itself to the bottom, and slowly but surely the light diminishes, but every one of the links in this light of revelation, the higher you go up, each one is able to feel the highness of the other. There's a chain reaction. You can feel it. כמשל שכל ומידות, ומידות במחשבה. For example, when I have an idea in my head and then I feel, and then at that moment I start thinking about it. There's a rapport between them. Derech klal, yesh mi yesh, from one thing leads to another. One existence actually translates itself in another level. Ve'abed, there's a second level of revelation of God, which doesn't go through this process, which is a step-by-step process, cause and consequence, and from level to level. There's the level of revelation which is high, which is just from nothing, suddenly you have a revelation. And it's just higher than you. It's not something that is tangible, that's been going from level to level. והנה בהשתלשלות עילה ועלול, כשהעלול מתקרב לעילתו ממטה למעלה, הנה הוא משיג את עילתו. The level where one level leads to another, one joy, one revelation leads to another, the one experiencing the higher level of joy is close to its source. ולכן הוא שש ושמח, therefore he's able to experience joy. Vatehi asimcha gedola. This is a joy that's great. Kemashal ben hamelech sheyatza min hashivya u'ba l'ra pnei aviv, just like a son which is connected to his father, the king, and after he just comes out of captivity and he's able to embrace his father, the king. כך תהיה שמחת העלול בהתגלות נגלות עליו אור העילה שלמעלה תחת אשר ירד בהשתלשלות נעשה מרחק רב בינו ובין עילתו רחוק מאור פניו בסתר המדרגות והכל לפעמים מפני שעתה בגילוי זה יש לו השגה איך שיצא מאפלה לאור גדול ומעבר לאור יום טוב ומשעבוד לגאולה. So basically, in that level of revelation, where one level goes to the other, and you can actually compare one level, you could say, you know what, just like, you have this light that you can actually modify the intensity of the light, one level is comparable to the other. As you lift it up, right, you appreciate that there's more light or less light. But imagine that there's no light and suddenly there is the sunlight in its full glory. That is something which is just overwhelming. You can't grasp it. And therefore, something you cannot grasp, you cannot rejoice with. Here, the process is that when I get out of myself and I'm able to experience a little more revelation, a greater revelation that's tangible to me, I'm able to understand how I'm coming out of mourning to a moment of joy, out of darkness to a moment of light. And this is what happens on Yom Tov.
What happens?
This is where it gets more interesting to us. וזהו עניין יום טוב, גילוי השמחה שמבחינת עקרת הבית נעשם הבנים שמחה. This is the level of the barren, that the mother that's been out all, and now on Yom Tov, she is home and she carries her children. כי הכרה מלשון, עקרת מלשון, הכרה מלשון כחולדה זו. הדרה בעיקרי בתים, בגמרא בבא בתרא. דפסחים, פרק בתרא, בגמרא פרק בתרא דפסחים, והיא בחינת מלכות שמלובשת כל יומין דחול בבייה בקליפת נוגה, כך פירוש בספר לתלמיד הרמב"ן. It's just like a woman which is the whole week busy. I'm going to give you the example to illustrate this. You have a mother that is busy all week. All week everybody sees her. She's going, she's carpooling, she's cooking, she's baking, she's taking care of the kids, she's waking up, she's preparing the clothing, she's washing, she's cleaning, she wants to make sure that her house is a house. At the moment that you see her, you see a person which is just like an octopus, which has 8 arms and is able to do so much and is completely given over. And somewhere, her glory is not at the level it should be. What happens is the level of Ema, the mother, the spiritual, feminine level of revelation of God, which brings nourishment and nurtures and brings life to all the supernal worlds, during the weekday it comes down into the reality of this world. And it's caught up in it. And you have moments of stress and moments of getting involved. I'm nourishing you, I'm with you, but I am at the same time barren of my own existence. But what happens on Yom Tov? On Yom Tov, something else happens. וביום טוב היא עולה למעלה באצילות בפרינת הם הבנים. Suddenly this same power, the same barren mother, on the day of Yom Tov, it goes back to its source and reclaims its glory again. Beprinat emabanim bina ve'asaga. Suddenly, understanding is there. Be'or en sof anigle. Then this level of godliness which went low to make the children, make the world exist, goes back to a level where it can benefit of the great light of Hashem. אז שאור אין סוף משתלשל ואור אין אז באופן שיהיה דרך ומבוא לתפיסה והשגה במה שיכולים לעסוק באור אין סוף ברוך הוא הנגלה ואיך שהגילו רב מאוד עד כי נהפך להם מיגון לשמחה. Suddenly the levels when you are imprisoned, when you are caught up in the mundane, just like this mother which is caught up in everything she has to do, she can't really benefit of that glory. So suddenly, on Yom Tov, something happens. You're liberated. You're no longer in these limitations. And you see the mother the way she is dressed during the weekday, and the mother with her glory and her gown, her Shabbat gown, how suddenly you say, 1 second, this is another person. This is a queen. This is glory in its full splendor. And during the week, it's another type of level. During the week, that same glory is the one that goes down and is ready to be fully invested in the limitations of life in order to nurture the world. That's what happens with the word, with Ema. This level of godliness is going down during the week, and on Yom Tov, it's like going out of its imprisonment. It's able to experience the revelation of Hashem, but not the revelation of God. The way it's so aloof and separated you, I'm overwhelmed. No. It's able to enjoy. I'd like to tell you, the Talmud has a discussion. In the Talmud of Betzah, there's a discussion concerning the essence of Shabbat, what you should be doing, and the essence of Yom Tov, what you should be doing. It says concerning Shabbat, Kulo Lashem. Concerning Shabbat, it has to be completely dedicated to God. But concerning Yom Tov, it says Chetzio Lashem, Chetzio Lachem. Half for God, half for you. Let's look deeper. When we look at the difference of how Shabbat is established and how Yom Tov is established, who established the Shabbat? God Himself. On the seventh day you shall rest. And therefore, Mekatche v'kai me'akadosh baruch Hu has sanctified the Shabbat. The Shabbat is sanctified from above. It's something which is beyond our grasp, and therefore it's completely for God. Yom Tov, on the other hand, the date of Yom Tov is determined by when Rosh Chodesh is going to be, when the first day of the month is going to be determined. Who determines the first day of the month? 2 witnesses go to testify on the birth of the new moon. And once they testify in the temple, in front of the rabbis, they say, Mekudash, Mekudash. The month has been sanctified. It's Rosh Chodesh. Man has the power, through his testimony, to establish when the first of the month will be, and therefore this directly affects when the holiday is going to be. That's why when we bless Shabbat, we say, blessed are you, God, Mekadesh HaShabbat, which sanctifies the Shabbat. But when we speak about the holidays, we don't say that. We don't say, blessed are you, God, which sanctifies the holiday. We say, blessed are you, God, Mekadesh Israel ve'hazemanim, which sanctifies the Jewish people, which in turn sanctify the time. So we understand that there's two different natures, two different types of energies. There's an energy which is completely above, aloof, from nothing to something great, ungraspable. And then there's an energy which you can grasp. You can, at your level, experience what it means to be in darkness, come out to light. To be enslaved, come out to freedom. Why? Because at that level of binah, of understanding, you feel yourself. You feel where you are. And therefore, when the holiday of Yom Tov comes, when the festival comes, and at that moment, that level of life which can be grasped is revealed, you feel the joy. The same way you're able to feel the pain, on Yom Tov you're able to feel the joy because it's that level of light which you can grasp that is revealed. And everything is transformed. Miyagon lesimcha, from mourning to joy. V'shayu b'choshech, and those who were in darkness are able, ra'ur gadol, they're able to appreciate the real light. Ugiluy or ensof baruch hamidgale b'pchinat yesh. It's the level of godliness which is tangible, which reveals itself to the individual at his level. Imagine, I give you a piece of knowledge. For me, it might be something which is extraordinary. It's such a revelation. I reveal it to you, but it doesn't speak to you. Maybe what I'm saying now doesn't speak to you. I don't know. But at that level, you will not rejoice. You might take some inner pleasure in what you're hearing. Rejoicing is something that happens when you have a connection to the thing. And that's why I wanted to give this mashal, this example of the person during the weekday and the person when he's finally coming to that level of glory, where the splendor, where I have time now to be myself and be revealed. That's what happens on Yom Tov. So in the cosmos, this cosmic spiritual energy is one which is tangible. And that's why it's a time of joy. Joy, simcha, is something that you have to feel. It's not just something fictive in my mind, I'm happy. Hello? Happy? Happy? I want to feel in you that you are happy. Happy makes you break out of yourself. That's what happy means. וכמו על דרך משל נשמה שמתענגת בעולם הבא מזיו השכינה תחת היותה מתלבשת בגוף הגשמי. Just like the soul, which is able to benefit of the higher supernal light of God, rather than to be imprisoned in a physical body when it was taking pleasures of the physical. בגוף הגשמי ונפרדה משם ועלתה למקור חוצבה. When it's separating from the body, and suddenly now the limitations it had are not there anymore. ונהנית מזיו, and then it really benefits of the beam of light of God. הנאה ותענוג נפלא, ועל זה נאמר לאנכי אוהבה יש. On this it says, I will give those who love me, I'm going to give them something which is substantial. So, Dehainu. And therefore, during the holiday, this is the Mekor, the source of all joy. This is the first part. To understand what's happening during the holiday of Pesach, we have to understand the difference between what's a holiday and what's Shabbat. The holiday by nature is a moment where suddenly your understanding gets opens up. And actually our sages teach us, and simha ela bebasar veyain. The joy of Yom Tov is when you drink wine and you eat meat. Now, what does it mean drink wine? What happens when you drink wine? Nichnas yain yatsa sod. When the wine comes in, suddenly the secrets come out. The things which we inhibit inside of us, the things which are locked up inside of us, which we're scared to experience, we're scared to face, at the moment that we take a cup of wine, at that moment, yes, I don't have to think about myself anymore. I can think about and feel another level, something which is out of me. This is the real level of joy. And therefore, V'yayin yisamach levav enosh. It says the verse that wine brings joy to the heart of man. For sure. On Shabbat, another level happens. On Shabbat, it's a level of revelation which is completely above us. The purpose is to be able to find the right balance. What will happen if a person is only going to feel? It's going to feel joy, the feminine level, but he's not going to feel something which is higher than him. When a person feels himself, he can get caught up in himself. When a person doesn't feel himself at all, because the revelation is so great, then at that moment what happens? He could lose himself. The purpose is going to be Chakem bevina haven bechokhma. Be wise in understanding, and understanding in the wisdom. To be able to, on one hand, have the experience of joy, but know that this is not the finality of the joy. There's something higher which is above my grasp. You know, it's not a pleasure when you understand something. Okay, you understood something. You had an experience. And you felt it. And you were happy. And then what? You're left dry. So what we need is to be able to connect the level which is above any level of understanding and bring a little of that light in the level of understanding. And what that will do for us is that we'll have a taste of something. And once we have a taste of something and we get involved into it and we get happy with it, we understand, one second. I'm going to tell you a little secret. Come here. This is just a taste. This is just to open your appetite. Just like we say, To'ameh Haim Zachu. On Shabbat, on the eve of Shabbat, we have a mitzvah to taste of the food you're going to eat on Shabbat. Not to finish them. To taste. Why? Because that taste gives you a taste of what there's going to be. So it's not that it's a different thing, that the feminine aspect of revelation is different than the masculine aspect. They both work together. One actually is a vehicle through which you can grasp the other. But the purpose is that I'm opening a little light, a little door of light, and then you know how you feel good when you're in a dark room and suddenly there's a little light. you feel a little out of this anguish there is in a dark room. And at that moment the light grows, and suddenly at that moment you see through the keyhole or whatever it is of that light, you see that there's a much greater light. There's much greater knowledge. There's so much more to experience. That is the level of wisdom which is above. We want to be, there are two friends. Spiritually speaking, they're called Tren Re'in de lo mitparshin. There are two friends that never separate. And that's the level of wisdom, Chokhmah, masculine, and Bina, feminine. One brings the influence, the other one is able to bring it down to reality. Even if you look, what does a man do? He brings you stuff that is completely above use. I brought you water, I brought you sugar, I brought you flour, I brought you yeast. Can't do anything with that. I'm going to pour the flour in my mouth. I need the feminine power to bring these elements together and make it tangible. Make it something I could absorb. On Shabbat, we have that dimension which is above absorption. On Yom Tov, we get a taste of grasping the revelation of Hashem in a practical way, through eating, through celebrating, through joy. And we realize there's more. Chetzio lachem, chetzio Hashem. Half for me, half for God. And through the half for me, I discover that there's a much higher level. Now, I'm going to skip a little part and let's just complete here, and afterwards we will go to this. So, and therefore, what happens is that on Pesach, ba'erev tochlu matzot. On Pesach, you have to eat matzah. What is matzah? We said because the matzah, it didn't have time to rise. What else did we learn? We learned that on Yom Tov is the time that the joy is experienced. Why? Because it comes from a level which could be grasped and felt. Shabbat is a level which is above feeling. This is what it means. So now, 1 second. I'm going to go directly to what everybody's interested in. Therefore, Shabbat is called Kodesh. Shabbat, Kodesh. Shabbat is called holy. Holiness is something which is above us. But the holidays are called Mikra'e Kodesh. They're called holy. They're not holy in essence. They're called holy because you can feel the holiness through them. What happens, and this is the part I want to go, that on Pesach, when we say the Hallel and we say the prayer, these are from the rabbis. These are obligations of the rabbis to say the Hallel and the prayer. But the obligation of the Torah is to eat matzah. Matzah comes from grain. The Talmud says that a child is able to develop his brain to a level where he's going to say, Abba, Father, Father, only once he eats grain. Grain has the possibility to bring a certain level of inner consciousness to the child, that he's going to be able to recognize his father. Matzah, which doesn't have taste, just like chokhmah, wisdom, doesn't have taste, right? It's something which is above understanding. Matzah is called the bread of faith. Why? Because it comes from that level of chokhmah. It comes from that level which is above your understanding. And therefore, what do we need to do? We need to eat the matzah. We need to eat a bread which represents the level which is above joy, above understanding. We need to absorb it in order to feel the connection to God, not in a conscious way, but in a subconscious way, in a intellectual way. And by understanding that there's a God above us, even though we don't grasp it, but we understand that there's such a concept and we completely surrender to it, at that moment, we start a process which is called the opening of the small mind. During the 7 days of Pesach that will follow, where we eat the matzah, we're going to integrate this mind into the midot, into the different emotions. And that's why during the night of Pesach we have this great revelation after everything shuts off. And then we have 7 weeks till Shavuot where we're going to have this full revelation absorbed, but in the process we need to make ourselves vessels in order to be able to absorb what the matzah started. So it starts with the first 7 days of Pesach, and then with the 7 weeks of the Omer. And at that moment, we get this supernal level, which now becomes a part of us. And once it becomes a part of us, then our understanding is another level of understanding. Our joy is another level of joy. And that's why the commandment really is only for 1 day. But being that we need to absorb it, we made it for another 7 days in order to absorb it in our lives. That it shouldn't be something, a reality which is aloof. So to conclude, Pesach, we have an extraordinary power. Imagine for a second that I tell you that, you know what? You could take a mezuzah. You know the effect of the mezuzah on the door? The presence of God at your door, keeping you and guarding you. We made a kosher mezuzah that you're able to eat. And that mezuzah, which you're able to eat with all the revelation of God inside of it, is going to become your flesh and your blood. It's going to become your eyes, it's going to become your ears, it's going to become your mouth, it's going to become your feet. Every part of you is going to have a little of that extraordinary revelation. I have a line of thousands of people wanting to buy my eatable kosher mezuzot. All jokes aside, on the night of Pesach, we have the power to eat faith. To eat that dimension which is above knowledge, which is the level of faith, and integrate it inside of us, that it should be there. It should be there. It's like a vitamin that's a godly vitamin which just brings you that power that you know God is one. You might not grasp it, you might not understand it, but you just know. You have this God feeling. It's above you, but in you. So that's why this is the only mitzvah, the only time we're going to say on a piece of food, Asher Kideshanu, blessed are you, God, which Master of the universe, which sanctified us with the mitzvah of eating matzah. You eat a mitzvah. So that's why we said before, just to come back to the beginning of the class, Chokhmah, Achokhmah techayed ba'alea. This level of supernal wisdom of what is, which is in the Matzah, it's able to bring back to life a person. And that's why it's very important during Pesach, if you can, at least for the Starim, if not for the whole week, to have Shmura Matzah. The highest level of wisdom. God bless you.